Hi all! Everything in my video is pulled from the public domain, and I am using them under the Fair Use, Fair Dealings guidelines. Everything I say is my own opinion. You should look into this information for yourselves, but I'm pretty sure I'm right. Morning, everybody. Yes, I've shown this picture before, but I don't know, I just want to show it again. Cat gives me the creeps. All right. We actually have a decent amount to cover. The real working royals are out and about again. Let's see what we can look at, okay? Let's go. To start with, I want to wish a happy birthday to Mia Tyndall. Isn't she a pretty young lady? Mia is 9 years old today. Happy birthday! Last week at the Royal College of Occupational Therapy, Princess Anne, who is their patron, visited Montpelier Therapeutic Allotments in Gloucester. I hope I said that right. The area that she went to is to help people with mental health issues on their road to recovery. Go Anne. Next up, Prince William went to a place called Together as One, which helps young people with social change in their community. It helps them with life skills and tackle issues like bullying. I'm sure I'm not pronouncing this correctly, but it's in an area called Slough. They took Prince William into the kitchen area where it's claimed that he helped them make chicken teriyaki. Now, I know he claims that he cooks at home. I think Catherine actually does most of the cooking. It looks like he didn't do a whole lot because I don't think he's really like, a chef per se. You guys know what I'm saying. Anyway, I'm glad he got in there. This visit was supposed to take place last year on September 13th, but of course it was scrapped after the Queen passed away. And due to scheduling conflicts, Catherine couldn't come this time. All right, here we go. More inconsistencies. In the Oprah interview, Meghan said that she had known Eugenie long before they knew Harry. But in the Spare book, Harry says that he introduced him and they, quote, hit it off. Again, somebody's lying. Also, some more petty stuff came out. Apparently, when they went to Invictus Games the first time, Meghan had her outfit approved by the palace, but she wore ripped jeans. And apparently, Harry was upset because the palace didn't put out a statement on her behalf. That's pretty petty, people, but I gotta be honest, I agree with Carolyn here. I doubt that the palace approved ripped jeans. That's not something any royal would wear to anything. All right, now we're getting into some interesting stuff. Remember I showed you yesterday that Meghan has been a no-show and everybody's like, where did she go? What's happening? Well, Neil Sean had a take on it, which he seems to really have a know of what's going on. So here's what actually happened. Apparently, Jeremy Clarkson and Camilla have, kind of a loose friendship. They're not celebrity pals, but they've gone to lunches together. I've showed you before that Camilla held that lunch, and Camilla has endorsed and is working alongside different charities that Jeremy Clarkson has his hands in. Well, Jeremy wrote that thing about Meghan Markle. So are you ready for this? Meghan is upset that nobody in the royal family, after everything they've said and done with the Oprah interview and the Spare and the Me You Can't See and the Cut and the Variety, they expected the royal family to come out and support them publicly. And apparently Meghan's upset that nobody did. Now, Mr. Clarkson, just as a recap, did not lose his job at The Sun. He did not lose his job at the ITV program Who Wants to Be a Millionaire. So according to Neil Sean, she's like, well, nobody from the royal family loves me anymore, and Camilla won't stick up for me, and she's allowing this Clarkson guy that, nobody's talking up, and she's so sad and dejected that she's withdrawn. Now, Neil Sean points out she was friends with Eugenie, but after Harry decided to write about, Andrew, that's kind of, going the wayside, so there you go. I will say this, Amazon is apparently going to part ways, and I showed you yesterday where Omid Scobie was like joking about that. Amazon should be very careful. Look what happened to Netflix stock. Look what happened to Spotify stock. If they get rid of Jeremy Clarkson and another platform picks him up, everybody's going to go over to that platform. Amazon could be in a problem. So if you want to support Jeremy Clarkson, he does have a book out. Go buy it. And his show on ITV is very, very popular. All right, moving on to our next story. Very interesting. Harry and Meghan's Archewell staff spent the weekend planting flowers at a healthcare center in Los Angeles. And this is the picture that they put up, but it was the tweet that went with it that said that the Archewell Foundation joined in a day of service for Martin Luther King Day. But guess who wasn't in the photo? They sent other people to do the work. Unbelievable. Remember I told you guys that Harry has literally become the Hollywood laughingstock? At the Critics' Choice Award, he was absolutely fried. Well, Jimmy Kimmel Live did a book based on Harry's book called, are you ready? The Prince and the Penis. Yes, they're making fun of Harry. They turned his book into a children's book. I cannot read all this to you. Please freeze the screen on each page and read what was written. I don't know who writes his jokes or who writes these books, but this is absolutely freaking hilarious. I mean, it really is. And at the same time, I agree with Kinsey Schofield, what she said a year ago. You could not have joked about Diana's death. And now people are joking about it, which just goes to show the amount of damage Harry has done. I mean, Talk TV even did a thing, who did more damage? And it looks like Harry did over Andrew. Now, Robert Johnson put up this tweet, which really struck me because he points something out very important. The Spare misses the point. Being a working royal is a privilege because you get a platform. You can use your position to serve the crown and country by helping others and promoting causes that matter to them while not worrying about paying the rent. Exactly. And with that in mind, Just a Servant pointed this out, which is spot the heck on. If Harry would have taken all of the anger and blame that he's laid on the press for Diana's death and instead talked about seatbelts or not driving with drunk people, imagine the good he could have done. Imagine how many lives he could have saved. Now, a few other things. Angela Epstein points out that Harry should be given a non-disclosure agreement, not just Harry, Meghan, because we know they're going to be at that coronation. They're not going to pass up the chance to be seen at this regal event. They need their connection with the royal family. We've already heard they're not going to give up their titles. So both of them should be forced to sign a non-disclosure. I agree. All right, here we go. Omid Scobie, he wrote on his Yahoo News latest column that Buckingham Palace and Kensington Palace have chosen not to answer requests for comment from journalists about what goes on in the Spare. And he said, in my experience, that silence may not be what it is, that the never complain, never explain facade that they put up is not good. They said that there might be some sources speaking out entirely independent, but how tight-knit the royal family inner circle is, I doubt they'll speak to media with at least some form of approval of the royals. But he did also admit that the silence from the royal family over the claims seems to be working. But then he said, this silence, this dignified silence is going to start looking like the royal family doesn't care. No, that's not true. We all know what will happen if Charles answers anything. The tit for tat will start. And now we've seen what would happen if the royal family were to ever seem to apologize. Harry and Meghan will never, ever accept that apology. It'll just go on. We've seen what will happen, and they're very smart not to respond to anything. All right, now this is interesting. We're just going to cover this really quickly. You guys remember Jessica Mulroney. She was Meghan Markle's best friend, and they had been together and friends for like 20 years. Like one of those relationships that went way back. So anyway, when the Netflix documentary came out, and she was left completely out of it, which I think Meghan probably did as a kindness after what Jessica did, this is the tweet she put up. So Jessica, out of the blue, suddenly puts up a picture of herself that was taken at Harry and Meghan's wedding. It was put up on Instagram. I mean, she helped Meghan get her wedding dress. She helped Meghan do like everything. She went on the Australian tour with them, like it was crazy. But what happened in 2020, she was called out by lifestyle blogger Sasha Exeter, I think is how you say her name, for comments she made regarding white privilege, while the two of them were having a conversation about Black Lives Matters movement. Now, Jessica denied being a racist, but Sasha said that she was paralyzed with fear by the things that had been said by Jessica. So the Canadian TV network CTV cut ties with her. They pulled all of her episodes of her show. I mean, everybody turned on her. And if I remember correctly, after she publicly apologized, she sent that woman a message threatening to sue her. So that was the end of Jessica. But here's my point. Meghan Markle had a friendship with this woman for 20-something years. And when she thought that her friend might damage her reputation, she threw her away. Instead of looking at her friend and saying, let me give you a teaching moment and build our friendship stronger, she tossed this woman aside like she was nothing. And that's why, my friends, she tried to make you think in the documentary that she has all these friends that she's cultivated her whole life. But there's only like 5 people. Your friends from college, your friends from elementary school, your friends from work, your friends from suit. She only had 5 people. All right, moving on. All right, I just had to bring this up. Shows a little bit of hypocrisy. Remember I showed you this yesterday, how Harry said, quote, the British monarchy has been heavily involved in financing enslavement, voyages of traffickers. Remember? Well, then this person pointed something out very important. This Twitter user wants to know when Harry is returning his racist titles and when he's going to be ready to donate his inheritance from the Queen to pay for the reparations. Good point. Now, along the lines of this story, it's being said that Charles is absolutely livid with Harry, which I can totally understand, and a reconciliation is not in the cards. Now, of course, we already know that that's a complete change from what Harry is saying. Charles and William have not spoken to Harry. There's no reason for them to speak to Harry. Anything they say to Harry is going to end up in the next book. And there's no truth about a royal round table reconciliation. Again, Neil Sean found out and reported that all of those rumors are coming from Montecito. All right, this last story I want to talk on is very serious. Apparently, the Iranian regime is saying that since Harry said in his book, and he did, that he killed 25 Taliban in Afghanistan, it's not going well. Now he's being dragged, like I told you, into the middle of an international incident. The Twitter account of the Iranian National Office essentially put up the following tweet, which says, the British regime, whose royal family member sees the killing of 25 innocent people as removal of chess pieces and has no regrets over the issue, and those who turn a blind eye to this war crime are in no position to preach others on human rights. Harry's comments have provoked the Taliban. Now we've got Iran in there. And all of this is creating an issue over the execution of a gentleman by the name of Alireza Akbar. I hope I'm saying that correctly. This gentleman you see above, who was 61, had moved to the UK on an investment visa, and he was a naturalized UK citizen, but was lured back to Iran by security services 3 years ago. He was then arrested in 2019, convicted of spying for the UK, a charge he denied, and then he was executed. Obviously, the UK's ambassador to Iran has been withdrawn, and the UK is now looking at, I can't even imagine. Like, this whole thing is blown up, and they're using Harry's words as as a excuse for why they executed this poor man. Now, while Harry's running around going, I didn't say anything wrong. There's nothing with my words. It's the way you're twisting my words. No, that's not the way it works, Harry. You opened your mouth and you said that you killed 25 people and you compared them to chess pieces, and now the world's going nuts. So that's your fault. An official at the Taliban ministry is now saying, quote, pieces of chess are now in power and he's struggling to maintain his place within his own family. Yeah, way to go, Harry. All I can say is I agree with what Vanessa here wrote. Meghan is the perfect example of how marrying the wrong woman can destroy your entire family. Because if anybody here thinks that Harry would have done all the things he's done, including writing this book, without her, you're insane. So, lots of information again, and I want to hear your thought processes on everything that was in this video. So write those comments down and make them good. Don't forget to double check the subscribe button. If you've already hit the button, double check. If you haven't hit the button, go ahead and hit the button. Go up into the description box and you'll see my Twitter, my Getter, my Rumble, my email, my Patreon. For those of you who have donated through the thanks button to me, thank you very much. For those of you donating to the coffee fund, you know we're going to be fundraising till the end of the month. And as always, you guys have a great day.